So, hello and welcome to C-Suite Secrets. I'm Heather Parsons, your host. I'm a founder, I'm a serial entrepreneur, fractional CFO, and a business strategist. I've spent years juggling business and family life while helping entrepreneurs scale, optimize cash flow, and build real financial success. On our show, we bring you real conversations with founders, executive, and operators about what actually moves the needle in their business. No fluff, no filler, just smart strategy, systems that work, and insights that you can put to use right away. With that, let's dive right in. Today, we have Brendan Lopes on the show. Brendan is the founder and CEO of Multi-Tech, where they help businesses scale through comprehensive suite of technology and marketing services. As a founder, Brendan is passionate about helping leaders untuck massive ROI while building back their time through smart technology solutions. Above all, Brendan has great pride being a devoted husband to his wife, Marissa, and father to their 3 kids, 2 little girls and a boy. While leading the company, investing in his family, and coaching others to success, he's passionate about empowering people to achieve their full potential. In this episode, we'll dive right in to lots of great things around managing people and talent, growing a business while managing a family, and much more. Brendan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Heather. It's an honor to be on. Appreciate you having me.
Glad to have you here. I'd love to hear a little bit, kind of getting us started, about how you got started in the tech space and what made you decide to start your own technology agency.
Yes, absolutely. Well, first, I should say this, Heather. I feel like I should be the one interviewing you as a mama to 3 girls. I thought we were going to get to 3. We have 3 little ones, but like I mentioned, they are about to be 5, 3, and 1 girl, girl, boy. So I should be interviewing you on how to be a mom, a parent, and an entrepreneur. So why did I start my own company? Because I want to take care of those kiddos, right? We've always wanted to build a legacy. That's definitely one of the big reasons. And then specifically in the tech space, my journey in my career has been, the foundation was finance and accounting. So I know we share probably a passion or at least a knowledge of spreadsheets. And then that became consulting, which eventually became tech consulting. I led a sales team for an agency, a custom software agency that was based out of Chicago for years. And I watched that company go from a 6-figure company to an 8-figure company. So I get to see a lot of the break points of scale in a growing startup. And I learned so many great things from working in these different consulting and sales roles. And what I saw was, I really wanted the chance to put my own mark on a company. And, my faith is super important to me. My values are super important to me. My family is super important to me. So my wife and I, we've always said, number one, we want to be known as kingdom entrepreneurs. We want a values-driven organization where we build relationships with our clients and become trusted advisors to help them scale their companies as big as they want to take them. We want to help them buy back their time. Number two, I wanted to build a legacy for my kids. And number three, until you own it, you really don't get the chance to control the client experience end to end. So I wanted the chance to know that not only was I the guy maybe doing the initial consulting and sales, that I really got to help navigate some of the gray with the clients and ensure that they got the experience that I wanted to attach my name to. So it's been a fun journey, and tech is constantly changing. So learning new stuff every single day. It's been fun.
That's great. And it's great to hear that you all are putting your family first and your values first. I think that really makes a difference when it comes to not only how you structure your business, but how you lean into being successful. Success is not just numbers on a balance sheet. It's a
Great.
lot about creating a life that you're happy with and
Yeah,
that you're proud of. So kudos to you and your wife for putting that forward. So
absolutely.
one of the things I know you and I have talked a lot about is around managing people. So,
Yeah,
as somebody who owns a service related firm and working with clients, people is a big part of what we do. So, I'd
yeah,
love to dive in and talk a little bit about how you manage some of the people on your team so that you can lean in and serve your clients.
yeah, absolutely. Well, the cool thing about the agency model, I know when we were prepping for today, Heather, we talked through so many different ways to scale a company. Obviously, you can have full-time employees. You can also have contractors. I would say one of the biggest pros as an owner to scaling an agency, it's also one of the biggest challenges sometimes, is we really do get to scale through a large number of contractors. And before I ever even launched Multiply Tech, we made an intentional decision that we were going to go with a heavy contractor model for scale. And like I said, pros and cons to that. The reason that we chose to go with that model is because we knew tech is so rapidly changing right now. We wanted to leave room where we could go get the best talent in the world in a respective technology that was evolving, growing, changing, and bring that to our clients. So our agency, as much as we are a tech company that can write great code, I like to really be known as tech consultants that know how to walk into a business, function as management consultants, quickly identify opportunities, understand business processes, and sometimes people don't even, very few people, Heather, come to me and say, hey, I'm looking to build custom software. They come to us with a pain point and a problem, and they're like, I think tech can solve this. And we kind of address those gaps, insert the right people. So we're constantly hiring contractors. We're constantly, and I say hiring, we're constantly building relationships with contractors that are almost queued up on the bench, ready to go when we get specific products in specific verticals or across specific tech stacks. And there's a lot that I've learned about managing contractors. Right, one, I feel like I do love working with the right contractors because at their core, they are entrepreneurs. Like they want the chance to control their time, to control their schedule. They like the concept of being gig based, and getting some of the flexibility and freedom that's so important to so many people in the world today. So I connect with that. Just at my core, like I respect that. And I'm looking for people that care about the personal brand that they're building. Right, Heather, not everyone wants to build a super scalable business. Some people are totally cool just being solopreneurs where they're like, man, if I can make 100K, 200K a year working for myself versus the man, that's a good life, right? And when I find those types of people, or even the ones that do want to scale something, I just try to connect with them as a fellow owner and let them know there is room for your brand within my brand. Like I really don't see organizational structure as this. Obviously, we have a contractual structure that sometimes needs to function like this. But I think just at the most basic level, what I've learned about managing people, especially contractors, is when you just treat them here and there's a mutual respect with clear expectations of how the partnership has to flow. Hey, dude, when we win, you win. And that's the other thing. I try to set up, I try to align compensation structure based on performance, not just showing up. I actually think that can be even easier to do sometimes with contractors than with employees, right? Sometimes the employee, you get their A game the first 3 months, and then it's like, hey, dude, we're not even at the B game anymore. Like, you can't just shut it off and go to C because you're 3 months in and impress the manager. With contractors, what I found is, especially in the agency world, they're constantly selling themselves to me as much as I'm proving to them that I am a good brand for them to align their brand with. So it's this mutual push and pull that can be very healthy. Again, there's also people that they take no ownership, and there's bad people in all engagements, right? Or not bad people, but people you wouldn't want to work for you. But I'm always trying to think through what truly motivates this person. Why are they a contractor in the first place? How can I respect that and create a win-win scenario for them? And then how can I leave room in the upside of the project so that when someone does overperform, they don't just get like, a $50 gift card, like so many corporate settings, if you even get the corporate gift card, right? I try to notice that. And I also try to pay them for that. Sometimes it's built into the comp structure. Sometimes it's just a surprise. It just goes so far with people to just be noticed, right? So there's a lot of different strategies, but maybe that's a good starting point for the combo.
Yeah, I love that. You said several things there that I think we could really unpack to help our audience out a little bit. One of the things that I noticed right away is you're talking about allowing somebody who has an entrepreneur mindset, just like you and I, to be part of a team without the full time responsibility of building out a company, needing to do a sales pipeline, making sure that they have employees that they're paying, worried about all of these other things like insurance, all the stuff that comes with managing a team. They get to shift that responsibility to you,
Right.
and they become part of a team that's really delivering for,
Right.
your clients without some of that. So that sounds like a wonderful win on both sides of the table there. And I think it's something that as entrepreneurs, we really need to look a little bit more for those win-win scenarios. It's not me versus you, it's us versus the problem. And
Totally.
really helping the client get what they need at the end of the day. Because without the client, everybody's out of work.
Totally. Exactly. I mean, we really can create dream scenarios for these clients, and obviously, Heather, you know this in the fractional finance space as well, CFO space. It's like if someone is spending $20,000 a month somewhere, well, you might be able to get at most two top performers full time with that. Like if you're lucky, right? But
Right.
20,000 with an agency where you've got a bunch of fractional studs and all stars, that can go pretty far, right? Because now
Exactly.
you've got all these part-time people, and then again, to the client, there's massive value. You could never get that type of width and depth with a budget like that outside of an agency or contractor-based model or fractional model. Um, and then on the flip side, like take these contractors or the talent, at the end of the day, like I find very few people in today's world actually just want to show up and keep their dot grade. Like people
Right.
hate putting 2 hours of work into 8 hours. Like people don't want to be bored. Top performers hate that, right? And most of the work that I need done for my clients, Heather, it's not really time based anyway. So I don't have to cross any gray lines of are they a contractor, are they an employee? I'm not even touching that spectrum. It's, hey man, like here's what we need done in the next week. I don't care when you do it. Keep me updated. If you hit blockers, let me know what they are. You're an adult, I'm an adult, and I'm going to treat you like that until you give me a reason not to. Believe that, right? Keep me updated on Slack. Send me some notes. Obviously, when there's collaboration that has to be involved, that's where I think tech stack is so key, like implementing the right tech stack with your team where there's collaboration that's constantly happening. Something that I'm like hyper OCD about is like I don't like my clients paying for our team to just be on meetings. Like that shouldn't exist in today's world with like all the AI tools that exist. Like I don't need 5 people on a meeting if only one person needs to be there. Like just catch the summary notes, right? Like one
Yep.
person can be there, 4 people can catch the summary, and then I'm constantly asking myself coming off meetings like did this need to be a meeting or could this have just been like a well structured email? Or a quick little Slack update. Like we don't need meetings just to do meetings, right? Now, with my clients, clients like meetings sometimes. Clients need meetings to stay on point, on structure. But internally, we try to really streamline things with the right um, tool set, with the right collaboration tools. And then I think if we just are really intentional upfront about defining the when and what has to happen by when, um, we're obsessive about the project plans and making sure that we're on point with the client communication and then the deliverables along the way that lead to the final deliverable. It just gives people the chance to run their life the way they want to. And I think they love
Absolutely.
that opportunity, and I do too. It's like I want to wake up and get good news that someone did their job and got it done ahead of schedule, right? And
Exactly.
it's not uncommon for me to get updates at 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey, updates to this Figma file. Hey, a new push to the code base. Awesome. I don't care if it's 4 o'clock in the morning because you didn't want to miss your son's baseball game. I don't care if it's 4 p.m. in the afternoon because you want to work a normal workday. As long as it's done before we're connecting with the client, right? Like that's what matters. So people love that, and I love it too when it's working. There's still times you gotta adjust and tweak, but
Right, exactly. And I think it's, whenever I think about working with my clients, it's about, am I communicating effectively? Do you know where we're at? Do you know what we're delivering? How we're going to get there with you? Because we're really trying to be a partner on their journey. to
Yep.
whatever that end result is. It's different for every
Right.
single business, but whenever it comes to talent and managing talent and working with the client, I think that flexibility is key. You know,
Yes.
we all have a life to live. We're all trying to do the best job that we can. And I'd love to dive a little bit more into kind of some of the tech stack that you've implemented here recently that streamlined some of these processes. I know I'm a big fan of Slack and a few other
Yes.
tools because it really allows me to digest information whenever I get time and I can kind of control my day. I'm a huge fan also of prioritizing what needs to be done in my day and not just being bombarded with email notifications all day. So I'd love to hear your thoughts a little bit on that and kind of some of the things that you've done either in your own business or you've helped clients with to streamline some of those internal operations and processes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, I'm with you. Love Slack. I don't want any messaging tool that doesn't have threading, the ability to add attachments. It's just like every client project that we have, unless they are resistant to change and above a certain threshold, I'm going to make them change. I want a documented history that's a living flow of the project, right? Slack is awesome. It tells the story beginning to end. And if people join the project midway through, they can go back and see the story. So Slack is unbelievable. We love the Google tool set just because there's so much collaboration built into notes, sheets, like everything Google, and then the way they're integrating AI now is awesome. Um, there's some great AI tools. Again, like if you're not using Fireflies or Otter or Fathom, like for note taking, like you got to get past the $30 a month or whatever it is and realize like you literally just hired a full-time executive assistant to it's unbelievable. Like if you're in the consulting space and you're not using one of these tools, like the app on your phone and these Zoom calls, like you're totally missing it because you could never take notes as good as the note takers can, and it blows people's mind, your clients and your internal team mind, when 15 minutes after a meeting you get the summary to them. Again, this is what cuts down the like the admin fluff in these projects, and this is what buys so much trust with clients. Like we can legitimately now do things in 60 hours that used to take 100 hours because people don't have to be involved for an entire meeting, or they don't have to watch back an hour meeting to get. Yeah, you can always take notes, but like there's also the feel of the meeting, and these note takers are just so good. So that's a simple one. um, Again, email has a place, but I think most of it now is more threaded communication in Slack and then within the Google suite. On the dev side, we use the Atlassian suite. So any development firm is going to know these different project management tools there. So we use Jira. Again, Jira's um, every user story has a ticket, and there's estimates attached to the ticket. It ties back to the project management plan. There's open accountability. People can see who's in charge. If something's blocked, they know why. They know who's responsible. It just keeps very clear ownership of every deliverable at the company. Um, One of the things that I've seen that other companies have worked at, like that the whole EOS operating system, um, I think there's a lot of value in using some of the tools around EOS and just that weekly cadence of meetings with the key stakeholders. We've started to implement that as our internal US team has grown. Um, and I think that can kind of be tweaked to the size and scale of an internal management team. So those are just a couple. Again, on the client side, there's a whole toolkit we could talk about on the AI side, but I'm not, there's a lot of people talking about the AI tools in today's world. So,
No, I think that's great. I think that's a great set of tools, especially kind of getting started if you don't have some of those things in place. So I'm a Microsoft gal. I grew up in corporate America.
yep,
So I use that instead of Google, but I see the value on both sides.
yep,
So it's whatever works and whatever you can do consistently
yep,
and make it work for your team and your process. I'm a huge fan of the AI note taker. I'm a Fathom Fathom user and I have an API that puts it into a checklist because I also need a checklist and I need an external brain with all
Yes.
the things going on. So
Yes.
it's really a huge help. And I think that goes right back around to what you were talking about earlier with that value proposition. What is the real value that you add? And then it comes down to that streamlining communications, doing things more efficiently, and that credibility. Because now that you have all of these tools in place, it's really easy to say, okay, this is what I'm working on. Here's where we're at, and here's how I'm helping you. Because we want to build that value story and really deliver that return on investment for our clients.
Right.
So I'd love to talk a little bit more as well and go back to the pay for performance and value piece. So as you're looking at how you're delivering value for your clients, do you have any other systems or tools that you're using to evaluate performance for folks on your team so that you make sure that they are aligned in the appropriate pay structure? That's one of the questions I get a lot. So I always love to hear kind of how you structure things and what you use to make sure that you're current with the market.
Great question. I mean, so if you go through kind of the different departments, so sales is obvious. Like the easiest one is
Yeah.
just what's closing. Pay it. I like to pay as cash comes through the door because people on the sales team, they can just see themselves building these little annuities or not little in the tech space. So it's big
Right.
tech. So they get to see themselves like, wow, like two, three more of those, and we can live in a different house, right? Like we can get that upgraded car. I love being part of people's dreams, like seeing those dreams come true for people. Sales is my background, so that's pretty easy to track. Like obviously, just get the right CRM set up and like teach people to be honest with their pipeline. Um, but on the dev side and the PM side, I'm still learning here, Heather. By default, because my faith is so important to me, like I believe in doing the right thing even when it costs you something. And I'm trying to vet my teams through the lens and team members through the lens of, hey, like I don't expect perfection. I just expect honesty. And like I have zero tolerance for like people that aren't honest because you can't build with that long term, right? Um,
Exactly.
and so on the PM side, sometimes I probably show, I like to just show people what's really at stake, right, in terms of margin for the company. I personally just think I've seen way too many companies where executives don't trust the team members that they put in play. And it creates like these layers and layers of like reports that aren't even meaningful because it's like, here's what I want this person to see. Here's what I like. Here's I don't know. If I don't have someone that I can trust to run a project level P&L, then I don't have the right people. That's my personal opinion, right? So like I want the project manager to know the P&L of that project, to own it and to understand this is a win, right? This margin, this threshold is a win. Here's the risk up front. Like I want to be able to have these transparent conversations where we're strategic partners and then they know, look, like when we get along the way, like if we hit this threshold, this bonus is going to be activated, right? And if
That's
we,
so smart. I
it,
That really is. So like I talk to a lot of other businesses who are very nervous about that level of transparency, whether they think that their team is going to be, you know, jealous or think that they're not being paid enough. I think that transparency that you're talking about is huge because not only having the goal attached, but knowing what's the vision for the company long term,
right,
right? Like I'm
right,
not trying to just line my pocket and do
yes,
nothing for you. Like we're kind of in this together and really want to foster engagement and
right,
loyalty and know that we're all rowing the boat in the same direction. I
yep.
think that's super smart and super crucial.
It comes from my background. My transition from working to full time entrepreneurship was the direct sales space, Heather. So we have a portfolio of companies. My full time focus is into our tech agency, but like in the direct sales space, I'd never seen that before. I was like, so you're telling me I know exactly how everyone at every level gets paid? like that just builds so much trust. And I know what they make from what I do, and like people know what I make from what they do. And some people, they never want that level of transparency. They're like, I own it, no one should have to know. And I totally understand. Like, I'm oversimplifying here. As companies grow to big companies, like there's layers. You can't have everyone behind every curtain until certain thresholds. But I'm a big believer in like, it is my job as the owner to create a place where top talent wants to work. If my vision isn't big enough to fit other people's vision in it, and if our profitability isn't big enough to create a win for other people's goals and dreams, then they should go somewhere else. And shame on me for not giving them a place they can win here. So if people have an issue, you just call it what it is. Like as the owner, sometimes it's like you are going to make 3 times, 4 times, sometimes more times than what the people on your team might make that are leading the charge on a specific project. But then you go
Right.
back and like, well, dude, do you want to pay? Let me show you the insurance bill. Let me show you. Let me show you the $100,000 swing that you're probably going to take year one of this agency, if not 2 or 300,000. Let me
Exactly.
show you the first legal bill when because you can get sued even if it's not legit. You ready for that? Like, do you want to do that, or do you want to run projects, right? Um,
Exactly.
and very few people, again, like I think it's awesome. Like if I hire people that want to be entrepreneurs, like great, let's create a setting for them to entrepreneur. Like intrapreneurship is the best way to entrepreneur until you really have a significant level of cash flow. And again, this comes back to my faith, Heather, but like, I am not the guy that's trying to keep people from going to start their own companies. If I groom someone for 5 to 10 years and then they want to go do the same thing, in all honesty, like that's a seed sown. That's a testimony to hopefully some of the things I've taught them and the self image that's grown. Why would I not want that? Like,
Absolutely.
I don't believe in like this limited pie setting. Like
There you
again,
go.
that's a fundamental faith value system, right? But like that changes the way you manage people. And I've seen this across a lot of different corporations. I know you have too, because you work for
Yep.
big corporations. When you fundamentally believe there's 8 slices in the pie, and if I give you 2, then I got to feed my family on 6. Or if I need 6 as the owner, and then everyone else is fighting over 2, that's a completely different value and belief system than there's actually an infinite number of pies. Hey, new guy Johnny, here's a pizza, and if you like it, here's how you go make as many as you want, so you can feed your family and everyone that matters to you. Right? Like that's a different value system.
It is. And it's all about that, are you somebody who has that limiting belief system, or are you someone who has, you know, I'm an abundance person. There
Yeah,
is enough out there for everyone. It's just, where do you really see yourself fitting into the equation? And
yeah,
you're 1,000% right on the whole. You don't know what the overhead looks like. You don't know what it even takes to break even in a company.
right,
Um, but it's an easy conversation to have, because at the end of the day, you as the owner are the one taking on all of the risk.
right.
If things go bad, it's not your employee's house they're coming for, it's yours. You still
Yeah,
have to pay those debts, you have to do those
yeah.
things, and the legal side of things is something I could probably talk about forever also. I
Mm-hmm.
keep on my phone the first time somebody threatened to sue me. And it's kind of hilarious, but it's very eye-opening. And I
Yes,
have friends who say, "You're not really even in business until you've been sued at least once,"
sure.
because, it's just part of it. And
Yep.
it comes with being an entrepreneur and developing or having that thick skin
Yeah.
so that you can do what's necessary, even though you're trying to do it in the best, most loving, caring way possible. At the end of the day, you still have some really hard decisions to make.
Yes. 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 And I think people really appreciate that. It's kind of like another one of the ways that I see people are motivated. They want to feel a sense of ownership. Like no one, very few people just want to be a box checker. At least top performers, they want to feel a sense of ownership. They want to be like, hey, like look at this project that I took ownership of, had a chance to be creative with. Um, and again, you've got other people on your team. Like we've got certain developers, obviously, that are contractors, and like they just want to write code 6 to 8 hours a day, motivated totally different, and props to them. Like you can't run a business without some people that just want it. They're just doers, and they just want to kind of be told what to do and do it and own that really well. Um, I just
And we
think you
need
have
those
to,
folks.
yeah, you have, yeah, and it's great, and I hope to create a company that takes care of those people too. When you really get those strategic owners, when you can turn them into your allies and like give them upside and ownership, um, and just proactively manage that friction. And again, you and I both know this, Heather. We both remember that point where we were in corporate America, where we said, "Man, I'm ready to flip the switch." And for everyone, it's different. Sometimes people live there for 2 years, 3 years. Sometimes it's 2 to 3 months, right? Um, so because we've been there, I know how to identify it. I can feel it in people's spirits when they're like feeling it. So when you feel that and you can just proactively address it and say, dude, like if you want to go do it yourself, like what can I do to help? But if you want to do it
Exactly.
right, here's what we can create together. And I want to make it work because I see the value you can bring. Like what additional responsibilities can we give you to create a sense of ownership and create more upside? There's no shortage of wins that we can do, and we already have a great ecosystem. Let's get this thing humming together. What do you want to do next? Right? People love that. That just buys more trust than anything.
Exactly. And as you're building that trust and you're able to have some of those more candid conversations, I think it really opens up a lot of doors. I remember whenever I was ready to leave corporate America, been kind of having a side hustle for a long time, and I got to the point that I just couldn't keep doing it anymore. It was like, okay, not the right time. It's never the right time. Got kids in
Yeah.
college. I'm trying to, built a new house not that long ago, but I knew in my soul it was time to do something different. And
Yeah.
being able to see that in other people and have some of those candid conversations so that you can feed into that for them, I think is a huge win and a huge testament to being both a servant leader and somebody who does think in abundance.
Yeah.
It's there's enough for everybody, and we're all going to do it a little differently, right? So the way you serve your clients, the way other fractional CFOs serve their clients, and what they bring to the table is different. Nobody has my secret sauce, just like they don't have yours.
Right.
So I think it's really important to foster that kind of culture and that kind of community. And that's definitely what I'm trying to do on my side of things,
Yes.
both on the real estate piece and on the accounting side,
Yes.
because at the end of the day, we're all in the same planet. We're all doing the same things. And I
Yes.
feel that it's a really small world, especially whenever you look at some of these companies and how things work and pieces, parts come together.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And I think, I when I simplify it in my mind, it's like a combination of a handful of levers, not to make it feel transactional. It's got to be empathetic, but compensation is just one of them, right? Compensation, culture, like you just mentioned, contribution, and then career growth. Like, so people want to feel like they're growing. They want to feel like they're contributing. They want to feel like they're part of a vision that matters, like in a culture and a team that has their back. You've seen this countless times. You probably do this for your people too, Heather. Some of the greatest gifts I've ever received and the greatest moves I've ever made with the people around me, whether they were clients or team members, it wasn't really just the money place. Like, yeah, I've never sent $500 to someone that didn't send me a thank you. Um, but there's also been times where you just send someone a book, right? Or send someone a gift card to dinner. Hey man, like take your wife out on a date night. Hey, like I see how hard you work in that project. You and your husband get considered and go this cool spot. I remember you telling me that your favorite spot was this place, so I got you a gift card. Like that could be $100, or it could be a $25 book with a handwritten note. Like when people just feel seen and heard and valued, like you can buy yourself 6 months of relational equity with a simple move of just, hey, I care about you as a human. Um, this is more to me than just dots and piddles, right? And again, I think it's just the value system. It's that abundance based mindset. It's what are we really here for? Like, what are we going to be telling our kids about? like transactions or people. Um, hopefully,
Exactly.
hopefully it's a little bit of both, but like people first. Um, we do the
Right.
same thing, Heather. Like every day, like when I step into my office at home, I have a home office. You probably tell from the backdrop here. My wife does not say, we don't tell our kids, hey, daddy has to go to work. We say daddy gets to go help people. And when mom leaves, it's hey girls, mommy gets to go help people. Different, right? And I'm looking for people that see the world the same way. Good, really good things happen when you find them.
Absolutely. And I think that framing the situation differently just changes how your brain works and
Yes.
how you think about things. And doing that with your kids is so smart
Yep.
because as I think about raising our girls and what we're doing and how we're trying to set things up for them, I started out as an entrepreneur and a business person at this level. And whenever they come in, I'm on level 3. Because I didn't start out there. I didn't start out with parents who really were entrepreneurs, very blue collar family. They gave me an amazing work ethic. But what I'm trying to give our girls, my husband and I, is both. I want them to start out at level 5
Yes.
because they've seen that you get these other opportunities where you get to go help other people or, really lean in the community or
Mhm.
however you do it. And at least now they know that those are options. Just like with your little girl, and your son
Right.
saying, "Hey, mommy and daddy get to go do this." I think that's a huge benefit and kudos to you all for approaching it that way.
Same to y'all, Heather. I know that's one of the reasons we're doing this in the first place. We just connected when we were chatting. That's key. Like let's be real. We want to build something that makes our kids proud. And if it doesn't make them proud, then what are we doing?
Exactly. And I think that's a good yardstick to measure decisions by, right? So I haven't seen a gravestone that has, dollars and cents on there. I've seen a lot that say, loving father, devoted mother, all of those things. So try to definitely keep that in mind as we're running a business. It's not just a one slice of your life. There's all the pieces and parts have to work well together. And if they don't, that then it's time to kind of step back and reevaluate and say, okay, I'm going to put my why first, and then I'm going to start talking about how am I going to get there? And that
Yeah,
may mean stepping back and taking less clients at a certain phase in your life. It may mean less revenue. It could mean all sorts of things, or it could mean switching your product and doing something that you feel a little bit more passionate about. So I want to make sure that we know it's not a one size fits all. And if things are not feeling right and it's not giving you the life you want, it's probably a really good time to sit down, have a heart to heart with yourself and think about it.
totally. I've heard it said that your yes is only as powerful as your no, and it's very easy to get stuck just like chasing the next high, if you will, the next win. I think it's the double edged sword of the entrepreneurial spirit, and anyone listening to this that's an entrepreneur. So it's like no one, you leave Easter, you leave Thanksgiving, you leave the holidays, and everyone wants to talk about like how big the recent deal was, or the growth trajectory of the company. Um, that's just human nature. And that's a good thing to aspire for more and to want to find what's in you. It's also a slippery slope because sometimes you just start saying yes to everything, and if you don't say no to the wrong projects, to the wrong people, it is going to bite you beyond what you could possibly imagine, right? Even back to like what we were just talking about. So I was with one of my clients earlier today, Heather, 3 generation business owner. It's funny, we were actually shooting a commercial with them, which we're not in the advertising space, but we have marketing partnerships and all sorts of stuff. And 3 generations, right? Business has been around for 40 plus years. And I was going up to the original founder, just telling him how much I respect the fact that his son is working with dad, and then his son's 2 sons, so his 2 grandsons are all working with dad because they want to. And that's a testimony to probably some sleepless nights, some very hard conversations, some tough times. But that's a legacy to me. It's not just the financials. It's like, man, we're gonna build something as a family that impacts people's lives. So that's the client I like to work with. It's one of the reasons like people say, hey, what's your ICP? I always say Gen 2 business owners, because it's that transitional gap where people realize, hey, like my parents built this awesome company. It might be a 10, 20, $30 million company. And I want to put my business in my phone. I love that they worked 80 hours a week and had work ethic, but like, I don't want to do that. Like I measure success in time. Our generation's all about time. Like not just not working. It's not about retiring and being at the beach all the time. They just want to work smarter and hard. And being able to run a business from your phone, um, I love working with those clients because I connect at a value system so frequently, and I'm getting to intermingle with other legacies. Um, I remember I was at a Coach K practice one time. I don't know that I'd call myself a huge Duke fan because I went to Clemson. I think I'd be bald from my alma mater, but
Yep.
I respect Coach K. And I remember one time I went to a private practice and he told a story about how he picks his team. Like, how are they always such an amazing team? It's because, well, first of all, they're selecting from number one draft picks, right? Like they are literally picking from all Americans. But he would just say, he said, sometimes it wasn't the best player that we would bring on, it's the best player that's also the best culture fit. And we would pass on people all the time if they didn't fit our culture and values, because anyone that thinks that they're above the team and above the mission, you have to say no. And
Absolutely. And I think especially for somebody like you all who has a heavy contractor mix, and I'd
right,
love your thoughts on
right.
this too. Like, how do you blend that together to make sure that it's still a cohesive unit, even though there is a little bit of contractual separation, even though from a team perspective, there may not be?
Yeah. It's it can be tricky at times, but the biggest thing I want to know, like our space is much like construction. When someone's building their dream home, they're picking the general contractor. That's me, right? That's us. They're not picking the plumber more often than not. They're not
Right.
picking the electrician. I am, right? And even when I say like, the general contractor picks the electrician, but does he really pick the guy that shows up and does the work, or does he pick the guy that owns the electrical company?
Right. It's the electrical company, and it's all about those relationships.
Totally. So and this is one of the benefits of the agency model is when you're the general contractor, I could hire the same electrician that the GC could, but guess what? The electrician's going to do a better job for the general contractor than he would for me, because the GC represents how much work to him over the future of their relationship. Now, again, hopefully he does the same job for me and he does a 10 out of 10, but like you just get more levers to pull in that type of situation, right? It's so I think all of our contractors inherently know that. They know, like, hey, if we keep Brendan happy, that that could be a lot of work to us over time. That's a value to my clients. But I'm looking for. I want to know who's the guy that's putting his name on it, and then I like to have conversations with them too along the way about some of the people on their teams. Like, look, like here's what I stand for. You just got to slow down to speed up front. Like I don't mind doing 10, 15 meetings before I actually do a contract with someone to make sure that they're a good fit.
Absolutely. Because it's all about quality control.
Right.
And I think that's a great analogy around the GC and hiring out the subs. And that's something that really resonates with me personally, because you're really trying to get somebody on the team who is a little bit more involved, has a little bit more skin in the game. And as the
Yes.
person who has the ability to hire this person over and over again, you
Yeah.
do have a different priority and a little bit of a different preference. So if I
Yeah.
need codes to come out and do an inspection, or something's going to be delayed, I'm going to get priority over a homeowner who is going to hire them once and never call them again for another 10 years. So I
Correct.
think that's a very smart way to look at it. And it also gives you just a different kind of relationship.
Yes.
And one other question that I have for you, and I know we're almost out of time. I'd love to know, we've talked a lot about contractors, we've talked a lot about aligning pay with value. What is one other secret that you wish that you would have known going into starting your own business and moving from more of that corporate environment to being a full-time entrepreneur.
Mm, good stuff. The secret sauce question. I think, one, I wish I had done it sooner, Heather, right? Because it never gets easier, just to call it what it is. Like, it would have been way easier before we had 3 kids. I think the biggest thing is people don't give themselves enough credit. Like, you really don't find out what you're made of until your back's up against the wall and you have to make it happen. Like,
That's true.
people that aren't good swimmers, if you're drowning, you figure it out, right? Um, and or you don't, but like you find out what's really in you is my point. So one, I probably would have gone for it sooner, and then two, like the first time I started a business when I was 22 years old, different business, different life. Um, we didn't realize the value of strategic partners, and we didn't realize how important it could be. Like, we were super tight with equity, and then when we did give equity, we gave it away to wrong people. Like, equity is sacred, um, and I think should be preserved. And by the way, there's other ways to motivate people than just equity. Like, you could be a growth partner that shares in the profit of a project, right? But I just think that when you align with the right people and the right brands, you can take a startup brand and function as a brand that's been around for 20 to 30 years. Just because you bring big names, it's the power of attaching yourself to successful people, successful brands. And then again, it's similar concept, but the value of doing a 10 out of 10 job for one person versus doing a 5 out of 10 job for 10 people, you can't even compare. You got to,
Absolutely.
yeah. So those are just a smattering of thoughts, but thank you,
That's
Heather.
great,
This has
though.
been fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's been great having you on the show. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear, and I'm sure the listeners would too, what is the best way for them to reach out to you or learn a little bit more about what you're working on?
Totally. So we try to stay super active on both LinkedIn and Instagram. Our company website is Multiply with an I, so multiply.tech. And then we're also on LinkedIn and Instagram. You can find my personal accounts there. You can also find our company accounts. We try to keep it fun. We try to keep it light. We're always posting fun little videos that are 30 to 90 seconds, just with different value props and things we're learning, the latest in tech, the latest in AI. Um, our big thing right now, Heather, that we're kind of packaging and so many companies are loving is what we're calling our maximize to multiply blueprint. And it's kind of the starting point of how people can engage with us. Sometimes tech can be intimidating because it has 6 and 7 figure price tags. And even if there's a 5 times multiplier in terms of ROI, you still got to come up with the cash to pay for it. But what we're seeing now is a lot of people are engaging us almost as like a fractional CTO or some type of consultant, whatever you want to call it. Can you take 2 to 3 months, analyze my tech stack, teach me how to insert AI or some low hanging fruit? The value from that can then pay for the future roadmap. It's been really fun. So we're posting a lot about that across LinkedIn and Instagram right now. But thank you for the time.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been great talking with you, and I'm sure folks will be reaching out. It's been great to learn a little bit more about how other entrepreneurs are handling contractors and just growing a business that matters to them and for not just for today, but for the future.
Absolutely.
So, if you found the value in today's conversation like I have, it would be great if you could show us a little love and hit that like or follow button. So, until next time, keep growing and remember you don't have to do this alone. See you soon.